My three conversions is a way of expressing what I mean by three turning points in my life, thus conversions. The first is what evangelical Christians commonly call conversion to faith in Christ. I was a boy, almost 7 years of age, and in a church context in which there was a lot of emphasis on conversion in a kind of Pauline way, a kind of decisive turning to Christ in faith and expressing that faith openly and publicly, I, in the middle of an evening, pursued my mother to explain the gospel to me. I was still just a boy, but she explained it very clearly. But at first I would not follow Jesus. I would not believe. I did not trust. A few months go by, and then finally I began to ask more questions. At this point, she showed me very graphically with what was called in those pre-modern days a flannel board, which was the equivalent almost of a PowerPoint display today with graphics. And she put up on that board a wide road and a narrow road and showed me that Jesus invited those who would be disciples to leave the wide road that led to destruction and to choose to follow on the narrow road that would be difficult to be his follower, his disciple. And I still remember praying and asking the Lord to have mercy on me and save me and put me on the narrow road to follow Jesus. That was my first conversion. Later I was baptized because in my own church context, baptism followed that kind of expression of conversion. Then some years later, after college, after especially being at Wheaton College, where I met many different Christians from many backgrounds, I began to question the whole idea of divine sovereignty. I had one professor who had a strong view of divine sovereignty. I had another professor who had a not so strong view of divine sovereignty, at least as far as how God saved people in their unregenerate or dead state spiritually. And slowly but surely, reaching a culmination in 1977, I embraced what is called by some Reformed theology or Calvinism. Those are nicknames. I'm not particularly in love with them, but it expresses what happened to me because I understood that salvation was mysterious, that I didn't open my own eyes, that I didn't call myself to God, but he called me, that he chose me, and that I followed him because of his great love and his choice, not because I was so smart or I made the right choice. I'm not denying that I made a choice, but I'm saying that the choice comes from God's grace, not from me. That was a second conversion. The third conversion is the one that this book is about. Your church is too small. And that conversion begins in the 1970s, as I have said to many, many other instances and say again, but it culminates in the 1990s with me finally studying carefully John 17 and understanding the prayer of Jesus for our unity. And then a few years after I'd understood that prayer and begun to pray it and make it a part of my life, I was in a local church where we said the Apostles' Creed every Sunday. And I remember saying one Sunday the words, I believe in one holy Catholic church. And when I did, I was shaken by the fact that I really didn't believe that with all my heart. I wasn't committed to it. I'm not sure I understood it. But I resolved by the Spirit's work that day that my life would change and I would work the rest of my life to unpack and understand what the early church meant when it confessed that it believed the church was one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic.